an ad on Craigslist, or maybe the newspaper. How far are you willing to go for a good deal on the latest phone? Are you willing to meet strangers in a parking lot at midnight to save a couple of $100s? He did, and one man may die before help arrives. Stop the Threat starts now. Hello and welcome to Stop the Threat. My name is James Towle. On this week's episode, we take you to the Sunshine State of Florida for a reenactment of an armed robbery, which we have entitled Bad Deal. But first, let me introduce this week's panel. Don Clark. Don was with the FBI for 35 years and was the special agent in charge of the Houston as well as the New York office. Don is also a returning guest. Chuck Joyner. Chuck served with the CIA before joining the FBI. Chuck retired in 2011 and opened his own company called Survival Sciences. Marc MacYoung, author of 25 plus books on the subject of surviving in a high-risk situation and a well-recognized court expert on violence. Welcome all. Hey, you know what, Marc? It's been a while since we've seen you. I know you're a returning guest. Many of us, I've gotten a lot of emails about the appearances that you've made. Tell me what you've been doing, because I know that you're a busy guy.
Well, I just finished, my latest book is called In the Name of Self-Defense. And what I did is I poured 50 years of experience, not about the physical act of self-defense, but how to assess, how to articulate, and to recognize threat levels and use appropriate force on that. So it was basically teaching people how to tell when it was time to do what.
Sounds pretty interesting. So you wrote this for
mostly for
audience?
Civilians. A lot of people get into self-defense situations, and it's a legitimate self-defense situation, but they can't articulate what it was that told them that it was. This helps you understand the process, recognize the threat, and later to articulate it, and also prepares you for dealing with the legal aftermath.
Okay, so you're talking about, when you say articulate, how to articulate it to your attorney?
Yes, 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 and yes.
Okay, I think I got
everybody.
It. And that book is available on?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all over everywhere.
Okay, all right, very good. Now, I also know that you work with law enforcement, because
Yes.
I've gotten a couple of emails where you said, hey, I haven't been able to come on the show because I'm working with an agency somewhere.
Right.
And how does that fit in?
Well, I teach police and military around the world as well as civilians. But basically, one of the things that we're doing is we're teaching violence dynamics to officers. And that is, again, how to recognize and assess, look at situations and say, is there an alternative to using this level of force? Because there's two types of use of force incidents that are bad. One is excessive, which actually happens really, really less than people think it does. The other one is unnecessary, and those are cases where an officer uses force and it is legally justified because the person's refusing lawful orders, but at the same time, you know, tasering an 80-year-old woman doesn't do the department that much good. It's a PR nightmare. So we're showing them alternatives that they can use to this.
And you're doing this in Europe as well as here?
I've taught everywhere.
Really?
Yes.
So they're actually facing the same kind of situations then?
Yes, and with some specific problems that they're dealing with. That is, you have different cultural clashes, and that's a big issue.
Okay. Hey, when we come back, I'm going to show you part one of Bad Deal. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. I'm going to show you part one of Bad Deal, but before I do, let me give you some stats on armed robberies. And this is from the FBI, so it should be pretty accurate, right?
Absolutely.
Ah, right, okay, I thought you'd agree with me.
Yes.
In 2013, there were 724,000 and some odd aggravated assaults, and that would be a robbery with a weapon. That's about 230 people out of 100,000, and actually that's down from 2012. Let's watch part one of Bad Deal.
Where are they? Forget this. Hello?
Hey, sorry about the delay. Something came up. Are you still at the place?
No, I left a few minutes ago.
That's cool, that's cool. I understand. Hey, if you're still interested, meet me in the parking lot of the shopping center at 2900 Brookside Drive.
Sure, I'm not too far from there.
Great, thank you. I'm sorry about keeping you waiting. I'll be under the street light. Can't miss me.
Sounds good. I'll be there in a few. Yeah, man, it sure looks real to me.
I know, right? Especially in the dark. It just shoots blanks, though. Shove it up against a guy's chest and you won't know any different.
I like a good deal as much as anybody else does, but at 12:45 at night in a parking lot, how good a deal could this be?
Nothing's a good deal
Yeah.
at that time of night. Nothing.
There's something that stinks about this
That's
already.
right.
Number one. And number two, when they call for a secondary location, no.
Yeah, why do you think the secondary location?
Um,
I'll tell you what I think.
Okay.
I think they're worried about law enforcement.
right,
Because I think these guys have done this before.
right. That
And-
is,
And they've called, because they've looked at him at the first location, he looks good. He's clean, nobody, let's see if anybody follows him to the second location. That's my take. What do you think?
No, I agree. And obviously, this is bad news. It's kind of like another series where don't be there. If you want to avoid the problem, don't be there. Don't be there at 12:45 in the middle of the night in a deserted parking lot.
right.
Yeah.
So you have a good deal. I can sort of go with this a little bit. The deal is good. Supposedly these guys worked a late shift. They could only meet at this hour of the night. I can kind of understand that, except do I want to go to this meeting alone?
No.
I mean, wouldn't that be
Right.
okay, I'm gonna do this, but I'm not gonna go alone.
Right.
Right?
No.
Not only going alone, but something is going on where this quote deal is hinky to start. So the old saying that you can't cheat an honest man is actually based on the fact that people's own greed and avarice is what gets them in trouble, and he's being led into a trap here.
I can see it.
You
You're
know,
brimming over.
And I'm going to agree a lot about what he said, is that, you know, people get so excited about going to do something or get something that maybe they wanted to do, but perhaps not in that measure of how he set it out there. So maybe they wanted it somewhere, and they got to this guy, and it just fell right into this guy's lap, because he knew doing well what he was going to do, and that was the other guy wasn't going to get any money and may not get his life to go.
Right.
And the excitement of the good deal is making him not see the warning signs.
Right.
Right. And I'm going to go back to the fact that it's easy to kind of sucker us in on a good deal, but at some point you need to kind of take control of this.
Right.
What was wrong with saying, well, you know, I can't meet you in that empty parking lot. How about if I meet you at the convenience store where there's 20 other people?
Right.
What was wrong with that idea?
Well, exactly, and that's the problem of, there comes the idea of back and forth. It's kind of like a business deal where you put in certain things for your safety,
Right.
and if
Yeah, I
the
like
guy
it.
doesn't have bad intentions, he'll agree to it. But the idea of, come meet us at a secondary location, which is, that's how you're walking into a trap.
That's exactly right. Okay, when we come back, folks, I'm going to show you part 2. If you'd like to enter into this conversation, hashtag Stop the Threat. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. We've seen part 1. It looks like a situation that is not going to turn out well for someone. I don't mean to pick on Craigslist, but it was a Craigslist ad, but it could have been in a newspaper. So, I'm not just picking on Craigslist. Let's watch part 2 and see what happens.
Hey, man. Thanks for coming back. Sorry it's so late.
That's not a problem. I've been looking for one of these for a while.
I hope you don't mind. I brought my friend. You never know with these online deals. You could be some kind of psycho or something.
I understand. So you got the phone?
Got it right here, bro. You got the cash?
Yeah, sure. Let me get it. Got it right here.
Hand it over. Give me the money. Call an ambulance!
Stop! Don't come any closer.
Okay, man, okay.
Hello? 2 guys just tried to rob me, and I shot one of them and ran. We were at 2900 Brookside Drive. I have their gun.
Okay, you've agreed to a unusual deal in the middle of the night. You decide you're going to go alone. You're not putting any parameters or security on your side, but you are in a vehicle. Wouldn't you want to stay in the vehicle? Why would you leave the vehicle? Number one, that's the first thing that hit me. I was, why would I get out of the car? Roll down the window. I don't need, and I could have the gun on my lap. I mean, so if anything goes wrong, at least I have control of the situation. How'd you see it, Don?
Reasonably, why would you go at midnight?
Well, you know,
Right.
nobody's happy with that.
You know,
Right.
why would you go at midnight to go there? There had to be, I can't imagine what would have been the reason for a person to do that. So therefore, you've put yourself in that position for something to happen that just happened to this particular individual, because it's midnight, he doesn't know who the person is, really, you know, and he still doesn't know who, he has no information whatsoever. That just doesn't make any sense.
So he's armed. Do you think that's
Yeah.
the reason why he did it?
Well,
because he felt good.
there
because
Well,
could
he
be
was
ego.
armed?
may have, but as they say in
I'm not
Texas,
saying it's a good
yeah,
idea,
that
but-
dog don't hunt.
Yes.
Right, yeah. No,
But see,
I'm good with
same
that.
thing. As
Yeah.
he rolls up, there's two problems. Number one, there's two of them. You're in a new location and there's this, oh, I hope you don't mind. Why get out of the car? Number two, the prosecutor is going to have this guy for lunch because there's going to be the question of why were you there? And even if he tells the truth of this was a legitimate Craigslist, that's going to be hanging over his head.
Right. Well, the other thing I saw actually was that isn't your vehicle a weapon?
Yeah.
It's also a time machine. You press the accelerator and you leave.
Yeah.
You pull up, there's two guys. This wasn't really what we agreed upon. You roll down the window. You're a little why shut the car off, in this case a truck? Why shut the engine off? Why not stay in there, the window down, foot on the accelerator? If you have to have a weapon between your legs, fine. But when things start to go bad, I'm in my time machine. I'm out of here, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
what I think. But
Right. And when you're in the car, if you have the ability, mobility is your friend.
distance is good.
Yes.
In anything, right? Distance
Right.
is good.
One of the things looking at it also, if you're going to try to do a disarming technique, you better be pretty sure the person's going to shoot you, because that's a very risky technique.
That's a good point. I thought that was a little risky myself.
Yeah.
But maybe he has some training. I don't know, but I'm not comfortable with it. I don't like getting that close to someone
Yeah, same
I
thing.
don't
Letting
know.
the guy, you're in a deserted park. Well, not deserted, but the guy follows him up.
I had it over.
That's not the sort of thing of you're meeting shady people, things are beginning to get funkier, and you turn your back on them.
Yeah, Don?
Bottom line is, it shouldn't have happened.
shouldn't.
There's no way that should have happened by any sane person that was trying to do the right thing. Wait till tomorrow morning, so many other things. Why would you go out there by
We haven't
yourself?
even
Doesn't make
touched
any
on the
sense.
fact that he left the scene. Now, when we come back, we need to probably talk about why he left the scene. I mean, on the one side, I can understand leaving because I want to get away from a bad situation. On the other side, I'm going, now, how do you explain that to the court that you left?
It's a race to the phone.
how does that work out?
The fact that he actually called, as he was driving away, I was going, oh dear.
And then
If
he pulled
didn't-
into another alley, by the way, to
Right.
make the call.
But you can withdraw.
I gotta go. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We have a few closing comments for you, and don't go away. Welcome back, folks. Off camera, we were discussing some things that I think we should share with you. Go with that, Chuck.
Marc had mentioned that there's going to be a race to place the phone call to 911. And you know that the story from the other two people are going to be that we came here to sell this phone and this person robbed us. He pulled a gun on us and shot us. And the first call that hits the police is going to be the one with the most credibility. So the fact that he delayed that 911 call will hurt him later.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Anybody want to add to that?
I would agree totally that's what they're going to look at, is that why were you out here, and what about this time of night? What were you doing out there? So the person who's really the one that's harmed gets caught up in this thing because that's what he did.
Right.
And this guy actually just should have poured ketchup all over himself, because he has now just become a prosecutor's lunch.
Right.
I mean, they're going to tear him apart on this, because he's going to claim that he was there to do this. If this, they're going to play with the idea of, like, why were you really in a parking lot? What were you really doing there? So they figure everybody's lying. So it's
Okay,
a real problem.
so the race to the phone call, as you use that term, and that's very good. Law enforcement now rolling up. The good guy is over in an alley somewhere else. I don't know what his instructions from dispatch would be, but probably would not be to return to the scene. Where are you now? And the black and white rolls on him. And then if the bad guys made the call, the black and white's going to roll on them. And then somewhere in between here, everybody's going to the station tonight, right?
Well, except for the guys going to the hospital.
Yeah, except for the guys going to the hospital. right.
Because law enforcement is going to say, what the heck were you doing out there
Yeah,
at this
stinks.
time of night? Who are you? What were you doing? And so even the person who was really trying, in his mind, to do the right thing is going to go through all of the activities, because everybody's going to be the same now. And the same is that you're all crooks.
Yeah,
and
this
that's
is
the bottom
way
line.
too confusing, and I
Yes.
think that was a well taken point, that whoever makes that call. So, all right, we want to leave the folks with something. I mean, the obvious thing is 12:30 at night by yourself to pick up a cell phone through Craigslist or an ad in the paper. Sounds bad to begin with, but if you've gone through with it, How can I be more secure?
You mentioned recognizing that this is a dangerous situation, and because of that, being more aware, and then staying in your car, recognizing my car is a 3,000-pound bullet, and I can use that.
And it's a time machine. I can
Yes.
leave
Yeah.
anytime I want.
My horse can ride away. My car can drive away.
Okay, so we would leave them with, don't leave your vehicle. If you have to leave the scene because you're uncomfortable, press the accelerator.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then make a 911. You could still make a 911 call
Yeah.
and say, listen, I just was going to meet two guys in the park, really uncomfortable with this. I mean, I think the black and white would roll on just because, okay, let's have a look at it, if there's not more important calls.
And in today's world, everybody's got a little phone or something. You can get in touch with somebody.
Right.
You know.
Right. Thanks very much for watching tonight. I appreciate the fact you've chosen Stop the Threat. If you'd like to continue the conversation with me, however, go to #StopTheThreat. Thanks for tuning in. See you again next week. Be safe, be trained, be alert.